0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started.
Oh, that's real good.
Ain't nobody stopping me.
Hello, all, and welcome to The Wonderful Pair, where two travel agents with very different perspectives collide. I'm Jess, Queen of Couples Getaways, and this is Tracy, the magical mama, conquering family travel with a sprinkle of chaos.
I
We're
just
so excited to see you guys today. I know. Are we having mic problems? Hold on.
no, we're just having style problems.
Oh, we're messing with things if you're watching us on YouTube.
We're messing. Yes.
No worries.
Okay.
All right. How are you? Are you good?
I'm great.
Are you
I'm coming down from weeks of craziness. I feel like this month, all of May and June should just be classified as like Maycember, because of the end of year things happening with the schools and everything else. So it's just been nonstop nuttiness, but good nuttiness. So today was the girls' last day of school. So they're out this summer, which is crazy.
Wait, it's so for those who keeping track, it's June 18th and they're just done with school?
We are, the Northeast does school. We start after Labor Day, and we typically end mid to late June.
Wow. For those of us in the Midwest, that's crazy. Like that just we start like mid-August, so I guess we end earlier. So
okay. That's my family lives in Florida, and that's they go back to school literally the first week in August.
Yeah, because you might as well if it's hot. But yeah. Well, speaking of being hot and summer and all of the things, we both have a little bit of travel, and so we thought we'd chat about all of the tips for summer travel, because as in St. Louis today, it is 82. We're under a tornado, something or another.
Oh, another one? Oh, geez.
There's a lot. We're becoming tornado alley.
It's been just really muggy and rainy here all week. Today's the hottest. It's been in the 60s pretty much all week. Today is the hottest. I think the high is 81 today, but it feels like swampy. It's like one of those where you, like, I don't know. We kind of like vary. It's like some days I walk outside because we've gotten so much rain the last few months that I feel like we live in the Pacific Northwest, and other days I'm like, when did I bring the Orlando humidity home with me?
It's just not fun at all. But yeah, we so this is kind of timely because Mike and so my husband and my mom and I and her friend, we are getting ready to head up to see you for a minute in New York.
So excited.
And then we're getting on Norwegian cruise and going to Bermuda.
Oh, I'm so excited and so jealous that we will not be joining you.
I know, I'm bummed, but it's gonna be really fun. So I told somebody today that they asked if I was packed, and we leave at 9:15 on Friday, and I said no, but I have a packing list.
Well, that's a start. That's a start. For all the planning I do for others, I'm always my own worst enemy, and literally I'll start the night before, and I usually pack for myself and my two children and just leave everything else up to my husband to pack himself. But sometimes I'll go as far as laying his stuff out too. But I found a number of things. We've kind of evolved our strategies over the years. I hate doing checked luggage unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
It was funny because for our last vacation, it was like a 10-day cruise / Disney World trip. And I was playing Tetris with all of our carry-ons. And at one point, I was like, I need a glass of wine. I felt like I was putting together furniture from IKEA. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give up, and we're gonna check the luggage. And thank God I did that because we ended up needing to buy more luggage while we were there because of all the souvenirs we brought home. Because you can't get them anywhere else. Like when you're on a cruise, you can't get any of the souvenirs that are available on the ship. They're just available on the ship. And of course, my children wanted the, I think Loungefly has exclusive backpacks. It was on the Treasure, the Disney Treasure. And we wanted the Haunted Mansion clock from the bar.
Yes. Of course.
But anyway, so my whole thing for my biggest thing, and then I tell everybody when preparing for any kind of vacation, is to kind of plan to do check luggage. I mean, to do carry-ons if you can, if it's possible. And my biggest saver are packing cubes.
Oh yeah, let's see those.
So this is a compression one, and you can put, you know, shorts and pants on one side, and then you do t-shirts on the other, and then it all zips together really nice, and then flat, and has a handle, and it just goes in your, I'm not kidding you, I fit a week's worth of clothes in these. Now, granted, I'm not going to Alaska, so everything was, you know, summer fabrics, summer texture, so thin, you know, think t-shirts, lots of shorts, nothing too bulky. But that's the compression kind. I have a whole bunch that I utilize depending on what I'm packing, where we're going. But they keep clothes pretty relatively nice. You just have to fold them to the width. It's a fold and not a roll. So other packing cubes are a roll. And if you're not somebody that likes to utilize packing cubes, I love them because even if we're all using the same luggage, everybody gets a cube or two cubes, and I know whose is whose, and we just kind of take each cube out and kind of either live out of the cube or just put it in a drawer, and there it is. But yeah, so it depends on the situation. If you don't want to use a packing cube, just make sure you roll your clothes, and that minimizes wrinkles. And as a former a person that's worked in fashion for years, I used to be a copywriter for fashion, a fashion copywriter, and I've worked with all kinds of fabrics. And one of my biggest things is try for summer weight fabrics, and kind of, you know, cotton's great, but if you can avoid things that are 100% cotton, or if they are a thicker, like an eyelet kind of situation happening, or anything with embroidery, those tend to pack well. And I think that's a jersey knit tends to pack well, and you can avoid wrinkles on your clothes. So easy pieces, lots of mix and match stuff. And then when all else fails, bring a travel steamer, except if you're cruising, because they'll take that away. What are your, like, do you have any specific strategies for packing? Like, what are your, it's so funny how things are, you know, I feel like it's like so scientific. Oh, we lost your mic. There you are.
Better.
Yes.
I don't know what that. Someone is like out in my house, and I don't know what that is.
It's not Gadget?
No, it's like a machinery.
Oh.
Lawn. Really, I was trying to fix my stupid mic, and it wasn't working. So sorry about the sound quality. Yes. So I go back and forth on the packing cubes versus rolling and just putting it in. I think there is some there's some discussion in the industry, or like, you know, packing people.
I know. It's funny.
Like, we go back and forth.
Really space, do they not? For me, it's more of a, I can keep everything in one place and see where everything's at, and then organize it between each member of my family. My daughter's home, so you're going to hear noise. I'm sorry.
You're fine. It's summer. What happens? Yeah, I think the clothes. My husband, he tends to roll and put them in the bag.
Yeah.
But I like the little bags for all the other stuff. Like, I think that helps to pull them out, and like this goes in the you know, the bathroom of the, you know, where the hotel, versus this needs to be right next to me for like my nighttime stuff, like chargers and iMacs.
Oh, we have bags for everything. I have a travel bag a toiletry bag, and I hang it up, and it keeps all my jewelry and non-liquids in there. I have
doesn't matter
cord organizers. It's crazy. If you open our luggage, nothing is loose. It's all bags of various shapes and sizes. But that's the way that kind of works for us. So we've kind of perfected that over the years. So it's whatever works for your family. I do highly recommend Cubes just for organization if you don't think that they save any space whatsoever. But from an organizing standpoint and for you to really hone in on what you want to bring, I think they're a great option. And you can find affordable options on Amazon.
You hold on. I'm sorry. Can you keep going or hold on or pause me? I've got someone at the front door. Hold on.
No worries. It's hilarious. My favorite options are BagSmart and Biaggi. So if anybody's interested in packing cubes, those are both great companies. I also have this little, a lot of you know my daughter has a developmental disability. So traveling can be very challenging with her. She has a routine that we've kind of perfected. So we utilize options when we can, like Clear, or just traveling when, it's non-peak times. And I realize that you're going to need to travel sometimes during peak times. But even doing like your travel on a Saturday versus a Sunday will save you some anxiety. And there'll be less crowds. So the most popular travel days are typically Sundays and Mondays. But Lily, honey, can you be quiet, please?
It's a thing.
This is my, you can come say hi.
What was this thing you were showing me earlier? What is this?
I get so many compliments on this like one piece of fabric, but let me show you the front. It's called a plain pocket. And you kind of drape it this way and it fits over every tray table. Like sometimes it's too big for the tray table that I'm working with. Like if I fly a budget airline, but it still works. Hold on, she wants me to open chips. I don't want chips, baby. I'm good. Thank you though. Here. And then, so it protects you because they never wipe down those tray tables. They don't have time. So they never wipe down tray tables. They don't wipe down the pockets, the interior pockets ever. They're never cleaned out. So this kind of protects you. And then what it does is it has all these different size pockets in the front. So when your tray table's up, you put water bottles in here, Kindles. I like kind of arrange my daughter's whole arsenal of things that we need for her. So her slime, her fidget toys, her iPad, headphones, snacks, because they used to be, in her backpack underneath the seat. And then she would stress about it. Did I bring this or did I bring that? And then it's me.
Love this so much.
Legit going under my seat 70 times during the flight to kind of get her stuff and to show her, oh yes, it's here. So when I added this into the mix, it was life changing. These are on Amazon. They're called plain pockets. They're in my opinion, for a piece of fabric, they're on the pricier side, but from a convenience standpoint, like I think it was $29. From a convenience standpoint, it's worth its weight in gold. So we use them all the time. Everybody in our family has them. We get so many compliments from the flight attendants, passengers, where'd you get these? It really is life-changing. In particular, if you have somebody that needs to have things organized or in front of them so they avoid kind of like a meltdown, or it just calms them. And it just makes your life easier if you don't. Like any parent traveling with small children, this is all your stuff for them can kind of fit in here that you need for the flight. So we love these and I highly recommend them. Again, they're on Amazon if anybody wants to purchase them. And they're called plain pockets. So that's another little kind of like packing tip that I have. Okay, so your turn.
I have one thing for the plane that I will use for longer flights, like if we're going to Hawaii, or I guess if I was in economy going to Europe. It's a similar thing. I'm sure it's on Amazon. There is actually, like, I'm a very short person, and so I need something to like be comfy in the plane. It actually goes over the what did you call it? The tray table. Good Lord. It goes over the tray table and like holds into place, but it's like a little sling.
Oh,
that you put your feet in. And so like
those. I've debated.
long
I've
as-
debated.
As long as you put your bag up, so it doesn't work when I have two bags, right? One under and one up because I don't have room really. But when I do, if I'm checking a bag and I just have a really small bag and I use that and put it above, if there's room in the overhead, it is so nice to be able to like stretch out, and it really helps. I don't know. I'm supposed to do the compression socks and all of that. I haven't really got
Yeah, I do those as
any
well.
of that, but having the little sling is just more comfortable for travel for me. But it's one of those things you obviously can't do it during takeoff, so you have to put it. It always takes me forever to get settled into the seat, and I really need to figure out a way to be like, okay, you know what? It's only 2 hours. It's fine. You can just sit down without all of your stuff. I don't need all of it. But when you're doing long haul travel, that's a slightly different situation.
Speaking of settled,
yeah.
not to interrupt you, but I kind of have, if I have a thought these days, it has to come out or it's gone.
Go for it.
My pregnancy brain just never, it never comes back. So, see, it's already halfway gone. Oh, if you or your child has any kind of developmental or physical disability, JetBlue and United both offer pre-boarding options.
Okay.
So this is something that I found to be, again, life saving. Most of the times, Emma prefers to go on last, so she's not sitting there forever waiting for the plane to take off. But sometimes she needs to be on the plane right away. And when you do pre-boarding, it's a lot less crowded. She doesn't like to be touched sometimes. So it's a lot less crowded. It's a lot less overwhelming. So they just say, sometimes they'll clarify and say developmental disabilities included. And sometimes they'll just say families with disabilities. That includes neurodivergent individuals and their family members. So please utilize that option. There's also a great service, if you're familiar with the ARC of the United States, it is a lobbying group that centers around people with disabilities, and they have a program called Wings for Autism. So if you want more information, just go to their website and look it up. And then you can even take it one step further and email, I wrote it down, the TSA for passenger support. If you have any questions about like physical disability, neurodivergency or anything like that, you can email. They have a TSA Cares program, and the email is tsa.gov/travel/passenger-support. Or just Google it, TSA Cares program. And they have passenger support specialists, and you can request that ahead of time. But I believe the Wings for All has specific dates where they kind of run through what to expect at the airport, and they kind of run through everything with the individuals at the airport. So I've heard nothing but good things about that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think people who travel who aren't neurodivergent, they're neurotypical, or they travel a lot and they realize, I'm reminded of whenever we travel with our in-laws, my brother-in-law literally travels with us to Disney, and that's it. He knows his airport, he knows where the restrooms are. We try to get them pre-check, and they're like, well, we only traveled this one time and we know how to do it. And the number of times they got pulled aside because they didn't, do something right for TSA. I can imagine that traveling, if you weren't the kinds of travelers that we are, it is overwhelming and it's freaky and scary and just, it's different. It's overwhelming when you're not sure what's the rules and what can you do. And so I love having a organization that helps people walk through that, just so they get more comfortable.
And then the other obvious thing that, sometimes people forget to do is you can send yourself your flight number. And by sending yourself your flight number, it creates like a little hyperlink, and you click on it and it'll show you the latest stats of the flight. But also make sure your notifications are enabled and you've downloaded the app. If you don't do that and you prefer to check in at the desk or get the kiosks and get one of those paper tickets, you can do that as well. But the airports are like really moving forward with technology. The last time I was in, and Real ID. Oh, that's the other thing. Real ID has been implemented, and I had a client, and she was very concerned because she didn't have Real ID. However, I told her a passport is just fine. Yes. So if you're confused or you just see, you must have Real ID, yes, if you're traveling domestically, you have to have real ID, but a passport still works for domestic travel. So, but they're doing facial. I don't know if they're doing it at your airport, but my airport, Newark, they're doing facial recognition now. You don't even show your boarding pass.
They're definitely taking our picture. I don't remember what we had to show. We go back and forth showing boarding pass. Sometimes we show IDs. I can't remember what the most recent is. I'll find out on Friday morning.
I believe it's ID, and then they take your picture.
Yeah.
It's
definitely like, yeah, I get how overwhelming it can be. So I'm glad that there are the programs that are helping those kind of get more comfortable with it. Because again, people don't travel as often. You can get really confused. So
and then obviously when you get to the airport, just double check your notifications are enabled. If not, just double check the flight status screen. United is notorious, at least in my recent experience, for changing gates constantly. And sometimes, like out of Newark, they operate out of 2 different gates. So that's completely, not gates, terminals, sorry. So that's 2 different places that you have to, go by.
That's great. Well, I know that you and I use an itinerary planning software that actually sometimes gives me a notification even before I get it from the airline about a gate change or a delay. So again, another really good tip for just kind of like keeping aware. Like earlier today, I know we've got all of our travel documents for our Bermuda cruise. Everything is in the app, that I have pulled up. I did print it just in case. So I printed all the docs from our cruise. Our luggage tags are in this e-doc. And I went ahead and printed the shore excursions PDF, even though I know I've got it. But it felt good to just have a printed something.
Totally.
Technology
is great when it works, but sometimes it doesn't work. And then it's nice to have a backup. And if you're somebody who suffers from anxiety like me, I always make printouts of everything, just so, if anything, it just helps me kind of prepare mentally for the trip and not be so anxious about it. And then if you're traveling internationally, obviously passport, gotta have it. You have to upload the passport to the whatever airline app you're flying out of. So when I was flying to the Bahamas, they required me to take a picture of my passport and upload it to the United app. I don't know how that works if you're not using an app or you don't, there's a lot of senior citizens or people that just are uncomfortable using technology that way. So I assume you probably have to check in at the gate to verify your passport. But if you are because I didn't have to do that when we went. Well, are you pre-check? We're not pre-check. We're
not only pre-check, we are global entry. So,
right. So that's the other thing. That's a great little app, and it's totally free. This is global entry.
No.
What's the app that's free that you can upload your passport and get into an express line? That's the app I'm thinking about.
That is probably through Homeland Security or through TSA.
Okay.
That is not available at all airports. No. So TSA PreCheck is basically the FastPass line, right? You have to give them some information and get pre-approved for that shorter line. Global entry is the step above that, that is coming back into the country. You clear customs in a quicker way. And so it includes PreCheck. It's a different program, but same idea. It's just clearing customs quicker. We are that level. So we get, I'm guessing we must have, with our known traveler number that we've added to all of our airlines, they kind of like, again, pre-checked us. So that might be why I didn't have to upload it individually.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know.
So lots of stuff to do, but again, that's why we're here to like, be like, hey, there are some things to handle, but it's also not crazy. You can just show up at the airport. You can just bring your passport and be like, hello, I would like to go to the Bahamas today, please.
Just make sure you do it 3 hours ahead of time.
Right. Well, I know we had some other things that we had on here, but I feel like we hit a lot of the big ones. Obviously, using a travel advisor helps with all of these things. I have 2 or 3 people traveling in the next month, and so we're doing the final checks. In fact, I caught one today where we were looking at her itinerary for all of her jaunting around Europe, And I looked at her rail tickets that the vendor had booked for me in France. She comes in to Paris Est and she leaves out of Gare du Nord. That's a problem because those aren't the same train stations.
Always double check.
So I went through and like literally in her itinerary, I made a note like, you have to metro from point A to point B. She has plenty of time. But again, when I'm going to do her check-in later this week, I wanted to have that very clear in my head. We have another family who's going to Portugal, and they leave like the day we get back from the cruise. So just checking in with her like later this week and being like, hey, we all good? But again, double checking those itineraries. And like you were saying earlier before we got on, we send information. We send all of the information, but like clients got to read it. We have to have them read before we send them and make sure that we didn't miss anything because we're just human. But also, it's not our vacation. And so if people aren't familiar with what we booked for them, you know, they might get confused or they might have an issue. And that's a hiccup in country that we really just try to avoid. So that's what I'm starting to implement is a 7-day check-in with our clients to walk the itinerary and like answer some of these, like, do I do a packing cube or not? How do I get comfortable on the plane? You know, we can be that Google, but we need people to read what we send them.
Also, especially if you're traveling internationally or you're going on a cruise, you have to purchase some kind of travel insurance.
Oh my God, yes.
Cruising has the worst kind of penalties for cancellations. But not only that, since you're in international waters, your medical insurance will not work. And obviously that goes without saying if you're traveling internationally. So you can, you know, usually add on insurance as an option, or you can do any third-party insurance you are comfortable with. But if you are traveling internationally, please consider some type of, you know, medical coverage addition to your trip beforehand, just you know, in case. And always check for the nearest urgent care if you're traveling domestically. That's the first thing my pediatrician recommended to me when traveling with small kids. So things that you don't even think about, you know, but always good to note and have. And then honestly, since, you know, it's the peak summer travel, just, you know, it's going to be crowded. So just please arrive at the airport at your designated time. That just saves you. It saves you so much stress. You can pre-reserve Ubers and Lyfts. I always do that. Or you can do private transportation that tracks your flight for you. And it's more of a concierge type thing. Highly recommend that. If you're traveling to Cancun International, please consider booking private transportation. That's one of the busiest international airports in the world. And private transportation just gets you where you want to go faster. So, and then in terms of where you're going, most people go somewhere that is a tropical climate. You know, you want to think about fans, stroller fans, USB powered, cooling towels. When you were in Disney, I met you that last time, you had those cool fans around your neck.
I love it.
Fans. If you're doing carry-ons, don't forget sunblock.
You can't carry that sunscreen in your carry-on.
You can do, I almost said ticks. You can do sticks, travel sticks you can carry on.
That's true.
So yeah, we prefer those anyway because they're less messy and there's no chance of them exploding. So
yeah, we're kind of obsessed with the sun. We're obsessed with the Sunbum spray, like with 70 SPF. So that's why I've convinced Mike that we're just going to check for this cruise. But again, if you don't want to carry those things on, you can also do a grocery delivery when you're in. I mean, Disney has a lot. There's also a couple of small businesses that'll do basically personal shopping for you. So it's just a matter of like thinking through where you're going and like having those things, because if you have the things with you and you don't have to mess with it, it's just easier. But also know that like unless you're going on a safari, like chances are there's going to be a convenience station nearby, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
And make sure you schedule a rest day of some sort. You know, whether that you're going to an all-inclusive resort or you're doing a theme park thing, summer heat is no joke. So get your stuff done in the morning, take an afternoon break, and this way you can enjoy, or just take a day off and fully enjoy the resort amenities and don't be exploring everywhere. It's you know, everybody needs time to recoup. I always do. We did our first cruise and I felt like I kind of did it. We still have a great time. Don't get me wrong, but we didn't need to do all the things that I had scheduled for us to do. So it's okay to just go and enjoy and not have to schedule a million things. Sometimes the beauty of vacation is just letting everything kind of be. So
I needed to hear that today, Tracy. I'm like actually looking at our cruise and going like, did I schedule enough things? I have
here's my cat.
an excursion every day plus an evening catamaran sail because obviously
Oh,
sunset.
I do love the catamaran though.
So we're doing
Well-
a glass bottom snorkel. We're doing a whole island tour in a minibus. We're doing a sunset cruise on a catamaran and an early morning cave and cave tour. No, the Crystal Caves on the other island. Of
Oh,
Bermuda.
beautiful.
So and then we have like 2 specialty dinings on board. And I was like, is that enough stuff to do? And I'm like, yes, I have 3 books. We're just going to go and chill and eat and drink. And I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Beautiful. Last thing I will say is if you're traveling with small kids or any type of a child on the spectrum or neurodivergency, consider name tags, air tags, lanyards. Oh, definitely use air tags in your luggage if you can. But for the children, I had like specialty necklaces made for Disney with our phone number on the back, any kind of lanyard with your phone number in it. Just God forbid. So
That's
that's my
smart.
little important safety tip of the day.
Of course.
So I know you got to get going.
Yeah, unfortunately, you had an in-destination issue. I've got clients that are
Yeah.
calling and trying to get their vacations booked, which is good things. But we will leave it here and we will say thank you for following the wonderful pair. Follow us wherever you get podcasts and on Spotify and on YouTube. But we're going live TBD on Wednesdays. Sometime on Wednesdays we go live.
It'll
But yeah.
probably be more around, what am I trying to say? Now that summer's out, I'd probably be more
We're gonna be flexible.
or like more consistent as the word consistent.
Well, we're going to be flexible. We're going to make things work, but hopefully you'll follow us and let us know what you want to hear about. We can't be sitting around. All right. We'll see y'all later.
Happy
Bye.
summer, guys.